and now he's gone all mucusy, so he's like a bit boogery, and he's fucking shit. He's real gross.
I can't remember. My kids did yesterday. We just got them pestering us now, wanting to go to some movie night at school. Take them to go see Minions. I'm just like, girls, I am too tired. I'm not taking them to go watch Minions. So if I get the girls angry, redheads come and I apologise. But yeah, we've started recording. Welcome episode 2. We're talking for resilience with Tim Fulton from Running Rare and Sammy Wilson from Sobering Thoughts. Welcome, lads.
Hello.
Thanks,
Good
mate.
to see you all.
Welcome. Welcome to me because you guys have been chatting for about 5-10 minutes. So I've been dealing with the chaos. Well, how's everyone's week going? What's been happening? What's everyone got lined up? We've got an Arthur to knock over on Sunday, Samo. But what about you, Timmy? What's news?
Well, I became an uncle for the 3rd time this morning, which was pretty exciting. So, yeah, haven't got to meet Bub yet, but hopefully, in the coming days, once things settle down a little bit, we can go and celebrate, a new one in the family.
Is that Daniel? Is that your brother?
No, this is my wife's brother. So first niece or nephew on her side. So, exciting.
Because Daniel, I think he went to school with Jen, with my wife.
Yeah.
A small world. What about you, Sammy?
Hey?
You're going to fire up the Sobering Thoughts chat?
Yeah, I don't know. It just come through the server, and
Yeah.
I saw an email about it coming, and then I saw it, and I thought, oh yeah, whatever. It said do this, so I did what I was told. But I haven't had a chance to really look at it. But yeah, took today off work, Monday off work. I got everything organised, so I just got a bit of shit to sort out around here. So I thought, fuck it, why not? Run on Sunday. Hopefully it goes well. Feeling better than I've felt in months in terms of my stupid back and hips and stuff. So we'll see how I go after driving down there. Hopefully it won't be too bad. So that's exciting. Other than that, mate, just same thing each day. Rinse and repeat, really. Nappies, dogs.
Eat, sleep, rave, repeat, eh?
Yeah. Well, fucking inconsistent sleep, but
You did it right last night, didn't you?
did real well. Yeah, I
know what was the down stuff that you had. So for anyone listening, we've all been sharing our sleep stats lately. We noticed Sammy had a few light on nights during the week. You made up for it last night with a whopper of a sleep. But what you gonna let us know what happened on those down nights?
Oh, just a bit of stress, mate. Bit of head noise, bit going on. You know, baby, interest rates, whatever.
It's crazy how all that just stuff that's happening outside your body can impact what happens inside it.
Oh, it's mate. I feel like selling everything and buying acreage and just putting a fucking yurt on it.
My parents got a tiny home on their property in Braidwood with Starlink, and it is awesome.
Yeah, I just want enough, like a square room with enough stuff in it, and then a shed about 8 times bigger than the room, and that'll do.
And Starlink.
Yeah, solar panels and Starlink, yeah, rainwater.
Timmy and mate, so was touching on before Substack released their chat feature for everyone's blog, and we know obviously you got Running Rare, Sammy's got Sobering Thoughts. And I think the reason why they did it was a lot of the bigger riders have created their own communities on Slack, or so their subscribers can join a Discord or a Slack channel, and it's just so Substack were like, well, why don't we create that in Substack? So yeah. Kind of emails coming out today about it. Have you thought about how you'd use it? I think Running for Resilience, Greeny should definitely crack it open because he will give it a run because I think there'd be, a proxy for what's going on in that Running for Resilience chat. I think it could, at the moment, our Running for Resilience WhatsApp, is just more logistics and just, well done everyone, but I definitely think, the Afra Rag could really have some awesome chats going on in those threads. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's it seems like an out of the box sort of solution for Substack, but when you think about it, and as you said, that a lot of people are sort of directing traffic off to Slack or other sort of mediums for this community building kind of function. I think given that Substack is really it's kind of not just a newsletter anymore. It is about community building and kind of getting people, and you see the amount of engagement and really good engagement that posts get. And now having sort of a feature where you can, hey, how you doing? We have a visitor on the for our podcast.
Who's this? Ivy in the background.
Sorry. Hey.
You gonna come here, I guess?
I thought you were listening
It's
to
Tim,
a podcast,
Tim
not on a
Fulton.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Jen.
And Sam Wilson. Sammy.
Hey.
Well, we've just doubled, tripled the number of guests that we've had on this podcast. in the last 2 episodes.
You're a guest on the show.
Yeah, it's
We're doing.
exciting.
Emma, you gonna come to say hello as well on the show?
Hey, girls.
We're having movie night.
But Daddy's not taking you, is he?
Was there a movie
How
that you
can Daddy go?
Mummy.
Mummy doesn't want to take you either. Girls, we're going to movie night here after this.
Wow.
This is what you got to look forward to. Sammy just had his firstborn 10 weeks ago.
Oh,
Come on,
congrats.
Jennifer, don't hide. Come on, don't hide. Say hello.
Hey, congratulations. It's so exciting.
Thanks. He's
What were
He's
you
on-
asking me before about the change of milk?
like just how sensitive he is to what Thea eats. Like one night we had Indian, and then he had a gut ache for like 2 days later, and then the other day she accidentally got a real milk coffee instead of an almond milk coffee, and now he's gone all mucusy. Like he's real sensitive, so like whatever she has comes through and affects him. Well, unless they're both coincidences, but like it seems, like you eat something a little bit different to normal, and then he has a reaction.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that can be pretty common.
Well, it's not bad or nothing. It was just interesting. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he gets discomfort whenever, like, there's something a little bit foreign or a little bit different to sort of what's common.
What's his name?
Sonny, he was
Oh.
here just before, but he's
And Tim became an uncle for the 3rd time, did you say?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, this morning in the early hours. So first niece or nephew on my wife's side. So super excited. Just got a sneak peek today, and I'm waiting for my
Oh, that's
a little
awesome.
bit later.
Let me go. That's really
Right,
Come
you
on.
go,
No!
Anna, you got to say hello as well, and then you got to bugger off. Come
No!
on.
Never!
Anna.
Stay.
Oh, you got, there's the youngest down there. Anna, you going to say hello as well?
Hey,
You want to be on the show? All right, you can see. Right, out you get, everyone.
Come on,
Ivy's
guys.
going to join us on the show. We'll be quiet.
Come on.
Sorry about that, guys.
oh, that's all right. Family's important, hey?
What's what? You gotta speak up. Ivy, no one can hear you if you don't talk loud. All right. Hang on, I'll be back, guys.
I can't even remember what we're talking about.
I think it was something to do with
Oh, the Substack chat thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's I think my understanding is it's essentially like a WhatsApp, but you can, instead of having like people come in and out, it's
Mm.
like obviously anyone who subscribes to you is in there and they can choose to opt in to chat and whatever. But you can have different threads as well.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's like having a WhatsApp group. It would be like Benny's phone, Alfred, R for R, W for R, fucking whatever else.
T for R.
Yeah.
Threads.
But like so like one thread is meant to be one topic, but with the same group of people.
Yeah.
Right.
That's cool. I didn't even realize that that was something they were working on and had released.
Literally started the Savo, like it like was released the Savo, but I did see an email maybe yesterday, but more likely today, I think.
Yeah, right. And is it for everyone, or is it like if you have a certain number of followers, then you kind of get
Not
that?
everyone. It's been they've been testing it for about 2 or 3 months with a couple of Substacks. Got the alpha test or the beta, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, they rolled it out today. But then I also finally got access to DALL-E. You just see that, Timmy? Like that is
Yeah,
crazy. You type
unreal. Yeah,
it's called DALL-E, DALL-E.
yeah,
Like Wally.
yeah. It's Wally and
Salvador Dali,
yeah, Salvador Dali.
the artist. And so you just type in text. Oh, Emma, go away.
I'm not Emma.
Ivy, go away. And you just type in text, and the AI takes whatever you say.
I think we always need to go on a encore episode. Start over.
But yeah, so whatever you type as text, AI will scan the internet to understand what you said, and then create an image or 4 images. So you could say Bateman's Bay in the style of Picasso, and it'll. Why don't I try and I'll try and log in. Hang on. So I'll why don't I show you?
So I think there's a really good video that Vox put out around how sort of DALL-E works, and it's something like between maybe 500 or 1,000 different dimensions that it uses in order to determine what something is. And like at the end of the day, like what it's doing is measuring like RGB values, so red, green, and blue color values, in order to make sense of like a text input, which is incredible when you think about it. Like the machine's not seeing an image, it's seeing a series of numbers, like pixel value numbers.
yeah, like code.
Yeah, and then figuring out, oh, that's what a banana is based on the pattern of RGB values. Like,
Okay, so give us some tech. Can you guys see this?
yeah, I reckon we should do Talking for Resilience podcast cover and see whether it does a better job than I did.
Podcast cover in the style of Picasso.
Oh, this could be trippy. Well, I think we should do it like in hyper realism,
In hyper realism, right?
in the style of, yeah. See what it comes up with.
So add digital art for striking image qualities. Fortune telling the Shibu. What's this going on here? What is Rockling?
It's kind of got the podcast kind of idea. Podcasting text.
So earlier today, I was having a play with it.
Yeah.
This one is writing for resilience in the style of Picasso.
Wow, that's cool.
This was writing for resilience. I don't know what word it's coming up with. It was running for resilience in the style of Picasso. Things for all horses.
Yeah.
This was just running for resilience. So just pulls running ones. This one was my parents' tiny home. I sent it to my parents. It's like a tiny home covered in poo. But anyway, so I was having a bit of a play around with it. Mate, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let's go one more demo. What's another one? Let's try.
What's something you've always wanted to see, Sam?
Here we go. Running and Arthur. Let's see what it says. Running and Arthur. What does it say? Just tip. Describe the material of an object or a character. Photo of a white fur monster standing in a purple. There we go. Running and Arthur.
I reckon it thinks Arthur's a dog.
They're taking it. Anyway.
Too funny. Yeah, it's really, really interesting technology.
They give you 50, like, for your first month, you got 50 images, so I probably burnt up about 10 today, mucking around, and then they give you 10 free a month for that. That's pretty cool. Like, and then Google, they did a demo this week of text to video.
Wow.
I'll bring that up. Where was that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty incredible what they're doing with these kind of neural engines, and like as well, there's an interesting argument around the protection of copyright and IP, because obviously these are scanning sort of huge volumes of work, and especially like if you're just whipping something up in the style of Picasso, it's like who owns the IP to that, and is it copyright infringement? And
Well, that's this morning. First thing I got my brother, he got in, and I said, can you do Shane Warne goes to the dock drinking a beer?
yeah,
But they violate, you're not allowed to do any celebrities or names.
yeah, right,
But look at this. So can you guys see this?
yeah,
So the first sentence, a blue balloon stuck in the branches of a redwood tree.
Yeah.
So watch, there we go. Blue balloon stuck in the branches of a redwood tree. Camera pans from tree with single balloon to the zoo entrance. So watch.
wow,
This is all AI doing that. So panning to the, oh, there you go. Camera pans. First person view of flying inside a beautiful garden. The head of the giraffe emerges from the side. Giraffe walks towards a tree. Zoom in to the giraffe's mouth. Giraffe gets close to a branch and picks a blue balloon.
it's just crazy.
I mean, it's still, this is just a demo, but like,
Yeah,
you can imagine how good this is going to be in like 10 years.
yeah. I think what's scary about some of this stuff as well is just like obviously how far deep fakes have already got, and then you start making these engines even more and more sophisticated, and it's like how do you differentiate between
Yeah, what's real, what's like
real,
a
what's not?
public service announcement from a politician
Yeah,
all the time. Like,
yeah, just scary stuff in the wrong hands.
I remember the other year there was like deep fakes came out of like Tom Cruise and stuff, and like you could not tell it was him.
Obama.
Yeah. Well, they did one which was there was a speech that had been written for one of the moon landings if the mission wasn't successful, or if there was
I remember that.
exploded or something. And so they obviously had a speech written for it being successful and a speech written if the mission failed. And they did a deep fake of the president who was going to be delivering that speech, and like you couldn't tell that it was not real. Like,
Was it initially were they saying he recorded both? Is that how they tried to sell it? Like he'd recorded both, but it was a deep fake?
yeah,
Yeah, that's
The other day-
wild.
The other day, someone released AI recorded a podcast of Joe Rogan interviewing Steve Jobs. Even though Jobs is dead, it like scanned the internet whenever like it got questions Rogan would ask, and it scanned the internet and pulled audio of like, and it's pretty interesting. Like it's a 20-minute interview. Look, it's crazy. Like it's AI, and it's the like the communication between them don't exactly match up like a normal conversation.
Mm.
But It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
If it's
I
used
listen to all of
if it's used properly though, like in the right hands, think of the possibilities like of programs like in business and stuff just purely for saving time.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like fucking, you just tell your computer like grab a screen grab of that, stick it at the bottom of this spreadsheet for me, like whatever, rather than copy paste click, you know what I mean? Like you could make things like just that monotonous, annoying little shit that you do every day. Just tell your computer to do it instead of doing it yourself, and bang, it's there.
That's why Amazon, they came up with Alexa, Google have Hey Google, Apple have Siri. They're all building these voice recognition software or assistants. That are just
In 10 years time, people say, "Oh, remember when Alexa all it could do was turn the lights on and off?" Like, and we thought it was in.
Like in their Apple iPhone, into their Apple TV remote, when they put YouTube, they know to put YouTube, and then they can search anything on YouTube using their voice. So they go, Katy Perry videos, and then Katy Perry videos. Well, they go up to Alexa. Sometimes in the morning, they'll go up to Alexa and they'll go, Alexa, which is we've got a little bedside clock. And it's got Alexa. They go, Alexa, what's the temperature today? And they're getting ready to pull, and so they know, Alexa goes, it's going to be 18 degrees. And they go, all right, we don't need a hoodie today.
I'd feel like a bit of a fucking weirdo for a while. Just like imagine you get a brand new house and you walk in and like all your appliances are voice activated. You're just walking around your house talking to shit.
Well, I only talk to the alarm clock. I go, if I wake up during the night, I just go, Alexa, play thunderstorms. And it'll play like white noise, like in thunderstorm. Or Alexa, set my alarm for 6 a.m. or whatever. Alexa, alarm off.
I think what's really interesting about these devices, and I don't know whether you guys have ever thought about it, but when you're filling out a form and it comes up with the little grid of 9 images and you have to select whether there's a like. Have you ever thought about why they're doing that?
That's to stop like fake accounts or something, or bots.
Yeah, it's about bots. It's also about teaching their autonomous cars what things are. So you got 1 billion users or several billion people using the internet. They've got to teach an engine. So
we're giving them data for free.
Exactly. So they're going, we'll give you a service, which is we'll detect whether this is a bot or not filling out your form. But the puzzle always has to do with traffic.
Yeah.
The reason is because they're trying to teach.
Yeah, bridges.
They're trying to teach these AI engines or
Traffic
verified
lights, cycles, trains, yeah.
Yeah, it's all traffic because they're teaching their engines how to determine them themselves. And you think about why are like Google and Apple and Amazon all releasing these voice, like really good speakers, but voice activated speakers at below cost price for how much they're manufacturing. So they're teaching their engines. So you go, we'll get these devices out. We don't care if we take a hit on the device itself, because the value that we can derive from teaching our AI to be more sophisticated outweighs.
And if we've got the best value for money speaker, we get the most data.
Yeah.
Amazon do it so people order their stuff through Amazon. So they're like, if we make, you can go, Alexa, order me the new set of headphones, Bose headphones, and it'll just go and do it.
Yeah.
It'll just search.
And so, these are all just methods to channel people into an ecosystem.
To make us part with our money easier.
Yeah.
It's kind of like doing up the street appeal of your house when you're trying to sell it. You know what I mean? Like, we need to get people in here first.
Yeah, exactly. So it's always interesting, and it's that adage of if you're not paying for something, you're the product. So like those Google reCAPTCHA, you don't pay for that as a developer. Therefore, you putting it on your website makes all the people that you're connecting to the product for the higher goal, which is teach the AI or Facebook or any of those social platforms where you don't pay, like you're the product. And I know that we're big advocates of Substack here, and I reckon like if they're listening in, they should probably sponsor us. So maybe we need to get onto your friend Ben. We'll call him in and get it organised. But I think
hopefully we'll get into writing for Resilience Sesh. We'll get Clyde, a Substack employee, involved.
yeah, because I think like that's what I found really nice about Substack is you're not competing with an algorithm, and the people that you're talking to aren't the product either. Like, and yeah, it's kind of a bit refreshing to get out of that algorithm.
The founder, Hamish, one of the founders is a Kiwi journalist, and he talks a lot about that, about how they, like, you go to YouTube and you watch a video, it's the algorithm recommending other videos it thinks you like. But if I go to your blog, Timmy, the only ones that are getting recommended are the ones you chose.
Yeah.
That like that you've chosen the ones you want to recommend, and so they've done that very intentionally.
Yeah.
And put the design and the way the system works in people's hands. Let the writers have ownership of it, and which about trying to people get back their attention from algorithms that are being designed by super bright people who understand how our mind works and how they can get our attention to then push ads at us so they can make money. It's like very much they talk a lot. The founders talk a lot about the business model of subscription. That Substack is free until so they're making money out of you, Sammy. They're not making any money out of me and Timmy yet.
Fuck all.
They're making 10% of your cut, but I just think it's awesome, Substack. I just think it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, especially while those founders. They are a bit older than us, but they're not. Especially Chris, the CEO, and Hamish, the chief writing officer. They're every podcast I've listened to them. Very impressive guys.
I was only thinking the other day with see how things go with Twitter. Like people are talking about leaving and boycotting and stuff, and there could be an opportunity there for Substack to get clever and try and pull people across. I know they sent an email out the other day saying, like with the uncertainty around Twitter and whatever, now's the right time to try and get all your Twitter followers over to Substack and following you there and whatever. But
I actually want Twitter more now that Elon Musk owns it, and reading about how he's been putting a rocket up all the lazy employees there, to be honest.
yeah, the people putting up photos of themselves crying and stuff saying I just got sacked, and
Because they're lazy. And they do nothing. He went in there and went to the developer, print off your last 60 days of code that you've written. Print it off. You show and he brought all these Tesla engineers, and just the place is just it's got way too much staff. There's heaps of people in there not doing anything, pulling a huge salary, and he's got to get rid of the low hanging fruit and make the place running efficiently. And so from what the platformer is, the Substack already, Casey Newton, a really good one, sort of what's happening in the tech industry, and every day putting something out, what's happening at Twitter. And the reports say, there's a lot of people hating that Elon's running it, but then there's a lot of people at Twitter are actually stoked. They're like, yes, we're getting rid of all these people. We're getting rid of, we don't have to talk politics at work anymore. We're just coming here, we're going to work hard, and we're going to produce awesome stuff and build stuff. That's why Elon's got this huge following of these like unbelievable, some of the best engineers and programmers on the planet just want to build cool stuff. And he is,
that's what he does.
It inspires people to build stuff that they never thought they could.
Like there's a lot of
Rockets land now. Rockets land. Like you watch the footage of this rocket take off and land. It's just cars driving themselves. Like it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
They're everywhere too. Like you don't have to go far to see a Tesla anymore. I remember when they first come out, you're like, holy, those like you just saw a fucking Ferrari, but they're fucking everywhere now. I think
the top selling car in a lot of countries.
And in I think in Canberra, more than 10% of brand new cars in Canberra that are sold now are electric.
I think electric's a really interesting topic to sort of investigate on a few levels, because obviously once the car's manufactured, obviously they're more or less net zero in terms of their emissions, but still a lot of lithium mining and lithium
Cobalt.
refinery, they're terrible. They're still using a lot of fossil fuels to produce the lithium batteries, and so it's this kind of catch-22 of like, how do you figure out like total emissions for a car over its lifetime versus the manufacturing emissions required to build these new vehicles, and are we offsetting, or are we just kind of
Well, like
moving the pollution from when the car's built and running to building the car is where the pollution. That's
yeah, exactly. Like a car with no fuel in it is net zero too.
yeah.
Like it is.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing is how, like, where's the power coming from that you're putting in your car?
Yeah.
How clean's the power that you're putting in your car? Like, yeah, you individually, by owning that car, aren't physically driving along spitting the shit out your car that's not good for the environment, but do you know where the power came from, or how they went about getting your battery and all that kind of shit? I think. Well, I mean, we probably need to go electric anyway because oil is finite, right? Like, look at fuel prices. They're 3 times what they were when I got my license, just about in what am I?
I remember them being
17 years ago.
I remember when a litre was below 60 cents when I was a kid.
Yeah, I think I paid below 80. So.
Yeah, I think what's interesting as well with electric cars is obviously all the infrastructure needs to be built up, like in terms of charging networks. And I think I've heard that hydrogen, they can retrofit existing petrol stations for hydrogen. So you also don't have, like, it's one of those catch-22s of like going to electric, if you can ensure that you're using renewable electricity to charge the car, and you can also improve the manufacturing process, you've actually also got a really good capitalist stimulus because you have to build infrastructure for it, which then trickles down and helps obviously the economy, because it's going to cost a lot of money to build up a robust network of charging ports, but then also improving the electricity grid in order to support an increasing EV percentage out of like the total cars. And I think that's like, I think sometimes we can kind of get scared of these complexities of like, we go, oh, EVs are the way to go. And then that's case closed. And then we don't consider what are the other either ramifications or the other positive effects that can come from the transition as well. But I'd be interested in like your guys' take on like autonomous cars. Like, is that something that you like? Yeah, what's your perception on autonomous cars? Not just, I guess, EVs, but they're kind of happening at the same time, but 2 very different technologies.
I can't wait. What is over 1 million people die on the planet each year, car accidents, and 90% of the accidents are the driver's fault. So it's all those deaths done. Drink driving, it's have your car take you home. No more drink driving accidents. The car just drives you home. Sooner the better, in my opinion. And I'm glad, like I used to be an idiot as a teenager behind the wheel, and I'm glad that my daughters, when they're 16, 17, 18, and they start, dating young males, probably the cars are going to drive themselves and they won't be in a car accident. So the better, in my opinion. I can't see any other than I get like people always like driving in the hot, having the window down and the arm and the sun going for a long drive, and there'll be the nostalgic. You'll miss the nostalgia of driving and having a gear shift, driving a manual, and some people will like that hobby. And I always believe there should still always be able to have people can still be able to drive. Like, I'm not saying it's bad driving, but the sooner the majority of cars on the road are driving themselves, the better. I can't see it.
Yeah, as I got my ute in I don't know, July 2019. It had 60,000 Ks on it. It's got 262,000 on it now. So I'm averaging about, I don't know, 60,000 plus Ks a year. So I can't fucking wait for the thing to drive itself. It fucks with my back, the amount of Ks I do. Like, I've made some adjustments now, but I think it's miles off until everybody has one.
Oh, yeah.
A long, long way off. What do we reckon? 20 years, 30 years until they're like available for everybody. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. I'll tell you a story. We were doing some patches at I can't remember who it was, but a loading dock in Sydney, a shipping container yard in Sydney, and they went from big forks, like the big forks that pick up shipping containers, went from them to these tall rectangular things on wheels, right? And it was all on GPS. And what it did to the pavement was it put like perfect ruts in the pavement, the width of the wheels. So because it drove the exact same line every single time because it was on GPS. So it would probably fuck with the road network in that way, you know, because everyone sort of offsets each other and drives a little bit over there, a little bit over there or whatever. But these ruts, man, were like 100 mil deep and like just square. Like not rounded like the roads we drive on where they get wheel ruts and shit. Like they were just perfectly square. And if one of them was holding onto a container and they sort of came from a different line and fell into one, it'd go like as it sort of fell into it. Completely irrelevant to autonomous cars. Well, these were autonomous, but like, yeah, it's fucking wild how exact they are.
Yeah, it's something the infrastructure is going to need. They're going to need to consider when building the infrastructure for autonomous cars. If they're all precisely driving down the exact same point of the road because they're using computer vision to make sure, you know, to center the car perfectly, it's gonna wear down parts of the road quicker. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's but the thing is, there's going to be a transition, right? So we'll go from 0% autonomous to 100% autonomous over, say, a 30-year period. So the treatment for the road would have to change sort of gradually as well. It'd be interesting to see how they would change it and when they would change it, you know, like at what point do they or if they say, well, fuck, let's just, I mean, different cars are different sizes as well, but it'll never ever emulate like the lines that everyone drives, you know, like naturally.
One other interesting thing, I think it was last year at Tesla, or maybe 2 years ago at their AI Day, Timmy, I don't know if you saw, Tesla are planning a competitor to Uber. So your Tesla.
Yeah.
So Sammy, let's say you've got a Tesla, right? And you get it to drop you off at work. And then instead of it just sitting at the car park at your work, your Tesla will go on a Uber network, like Tesla's own network, and go pick people up and drop them around and do work for you like a taxi while you're at work. And then the car will come back, pick you up, take you home.
Yeah.
I'd just leave it out 24 hours a day. Just fucking take me home.
It could. And then it'll just take itself to the charger. And Musk, when he was originally designing Tesla, instead of charging the battery, he wanted it like a barbecue where you take your gas canister in and you just get a new one straight away. So he'd originally thought about a car would come in, battery would drop off, new battery in, and then it'd just go. No having to sit around for half hour, an hour charging. It was like instant battery change.
Yeah.
That was a massive game changer.
I was just thinking about that while you guys were talking, and I hadn't realised about that press release from Elon, was that I wouldn't be surprised if going forward cars just became public property. So people no longer own cars. It's like the bus network or the train network, like it's run by the government, because the amount of cars that are just wasted in car spaces, whether they're at home or in the cities, like it's enormous. Like, and having something where these autonomous cars can kind of do an Uber-like function means you're going to cut down on the number of cars and congestion. Maybe you no longer have car parks in the major city squares. Like they're replaced with buildings or parks or repurposed, because the amount of car spaces that you would need would be significantly reduced. But on the other hand, you have to think about the car manufacturers. They earn their profit by selling cars. So if the demand for cars drops because we're all sharing our cars, it's the manufacturers who lose out. Kind of in the long run, they kind of make themselves redundant. It's like there was this consortium around light bulbs that become too efficient at one point. So all the major light bulb manufacturers came together and decided we're going to create kind of forced obsolescence. The light bulb's only going to last 3 years now instead of 10, because our product's too efficient. We're not selling enough anymore because people buy.
Phones, they're like, oh, we've got to make sure the battery dies in a couple of
Yeah.
years.
It's like white goods. You know, like your fridge will only last a year past its warranty. Guarantee it. Microwave, everything. Washing machines. Like, buddy, Thea's grandma's got this old Kelvinator thing. You need a forklift to get it out of her house. Washing machine. But it still works. It's got like a dial on it. It's a fucking ripper. Like,
I've got a question for you, Ivy. What do you think about Tesla cars?
They're good for the environment.
You speak up. What was that?
They're good for the environment. They don't
Yeah.
spread stuff like
They don't pollute.
they don't pollute.
And what else is good about Teslas?
They run by electric.
Yeah. And what happens with driving them?
If you let go of the steering wheel, they can drive by themselves.
You let go, they drive by themselves, isn't that right? Yeah. Have you been in a Tesla?
Yeah,
Whose?
Uncle T's.
Yeah, my brother's got one. He's got one.
Very cool.
Will you
And
go?
was it really quiet? Was it quieter than Daddy's car?
A bit.
But that's, I think, the other interesting thing about these EV cars is obviously because they don't produce as much sound, they're kind of a safety risk as well. And there's this emerging, like, there's now sound designers to figure out what these cars should sound like, because they don't just have to sound like an engine.
like playing something out of a speaker. But like with that, like in built up areas, you don't really hear cars anyway. Like imagine, you know, even in the middle of Northbourne, everyone's on the phone, headphones in, you know, like there's that much other noise going on anyway, like in built up areas that like we've got a big problem at work with reversing beepers, right? It's proven that over time, exposure to them, they become white noise. So you got this fucking thing like right next to you. You can't hear it because you hear it all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can hear it, but it doesn't like cue a response in your brain because you just hear it all the time. It's white noise. It could be like right there, it could be coming for you, but if you just don't pay enough attention to them anymore. So I don't know that really does the noise matter. Like I don't. Do you hear cars that much? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's more probably like two things. Firstly, I think it's that the reversing sound is the perfect example of exposure therapy, right?
Yeah, 100%.
The first time you were on site, you'd be hearing it like that, and then over time, as you were saying, you just become accustomed to that sound does not equal a threat.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
can't-
because I've heard it 1,000 times and not been hurt.
yeah. And I think the other thing that will probably be driving these sound engineers is like, I think what they call mnemonics. So like when you open up Netflix, there's a sound associated with opening up Netflix. Or if you boot your PC up, there's a sound associated with that process. And I think these sounds will become a branding exercise and a way of trying to build brand equity with customers or potential customers.
What is the science around the decibel levels and stuff? There's surely like the Apple iPhone message, like a thing, like it's a. They must have done the science around how decibels and the frequency, what sounds are pleasurable or get your attention without causing anxiety. Or I mean, do you know much about that?
I personally don't know much around, I guess, the psychology of these sounds, but they're definitely engineered. Like they're not by accident. Like all of these are about kind of creating some lasting memory. And I don't know whether that is a product of just being exposed to it a lot, or whether, like you said, they're tapping into some psychology that they know is going to be kind of globally resonate.
Oh, I see. Well, here we are at the bottom of the R4R funnel. The, what is it? For resilience into the riders, into the
Us three.
Us three.
talkers, runners, riders, talkers. Was it? Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Runners, riders.
Yeah.
Timmy, what's the topic for the week? So we've just been freestyling, bit of tech talk this week. What's your topic?
Yeah, my topic for this week that I've been thinking about is around our obsession with outcomes versus inputs. And what prompted this was one of the runs that I had with you, Ben, it must have been a couple of months ago, about a really big shift in culture. I think it was either with the Wallabies or the Brumbies, when you had a new coach come in who sort of stopped focusing necessarily on outputs and started focusing on inputs. And I don't know whether maybe you could talk to that a bit more, and maybe Sam as well, like around, how do we shift our focus from outputs to inputs, and what are important inputs in our life that we should be focusing on?
Yeah, so that story, or where I learned that from, was Dean Benton. He's the head of athletic performance at Rugby Australia. He was at the Broncos, Melbourne Storm, England Rugby, is an ex-hurdler, so one of the best human performance minds in Australia. And Jake Watt, well, so 2010, the Brumbies, we had like rock star team. We were called the Real Madrid of Australian rugby. We had we had more than half the Wallaby team, but we came second last. The Brumbies, we sucked, even though we had all the best names on paper. Anyway, 2011, we came second last. Worst season in Brumbies history, despite having an unbelievable lineup. Then Jake White comes in, new head coach. A lot of guys left anyway, but then he moved on a few more. Then we only had 3 Wallabies, and I was one of them. But Jake also then got Dean Benton, a new trainer, who got us a chef, created a sleep room. So we'd go in, we'd all have breakfast together as a team. And then we'd go train in the morning, and then we'd come have lunch together as a team. And then there was 40 minutes in everyone's calendar to rest. No coaches could bother you, no physios, no media. Just go and rest, recharge, and then go train again in the arbo. But sort of early on in that, when Dean took over, I'd prided myself that I could focus on training really hard and push myself hard at training. And because it had got me up into the Wallabies and I was playing some decent footy, but I remember I just started running out of puff. I could not keep up at training in this pre-season under Dean, and he was pushing us pretty hard. And I go up to him and I go, Dean, mate, I can't keep up. Like, I'm trying as hard as I can. I want to train well. And he goes, Benny, I don't care how hard you try. Go away and focus on your eating and your sleeping, and your training will take care of itself. And I was just a bit like, oh, it's a bit weird. Like, all right, I'll go put whatever effort I was putting into training, I'll just put that effort into trying to get good sleep and trying to eat well. And then as a result of that, straight away, got out of Fat Club pretty quickly for the first time. I ended up playing my best footy for those 2 years under Dean. And that's just sort of a lesson that's probably the main lesson I take out of my sporting career is instead of focusing on trying to work hard and do stuff, I focus on the things that give me the energy to go and work hard and stuff. It's that whole, the NBA and Joel Embiid, they all talk about, focus on the process, not the outcome. And for, sports people, and I think the same applies to anyone, no matter what your work is, you need, work's going to fill a large part of our life, and there's no point not trying to give it. Whether we like it or not, we are going to be working for many, many years, and so we might as well do our best. And the only way we can do that is if we have energy every day to go in, to think clearly, to do hard work, to do extras. If we're buggered and burnt out, we're just selling ourselves short at the end of the day. We're not going to get everything done or achieve the most that we can. And so, of course, like how much energy you have is more than just food and sleep. I think they're the two main pillars, along with like people, like community and stuff. I think they're sort of the three main ones, because I just don't even focus on trying to exercise. I just focus on trying to eat well and trying to get sleep. And I know if I do those, if I put my effort into those two things, the knock-on effect is I'll feel like going and exercise, I'll have energy, I'll go to work, or I'll exercise and I'll go to work with more energy, and I'll be a better employee, I'll be able to take more info in, I'll make better decisions. Just everything in my life seems to fall into place to an extent when I get my eating and sleeping right. And that's why people don't, to the second part of your question. I think it's just because it's a bit boring. People want to try and find some other flashy way. Like going trying to do a big log run to get fit and going working out. Yeah, it's good. It's exciting. Makes you feel good in the moment when you're doing it because you're getting the endorphins. But at the end of the day, the results, I look at all the best players I played with. Apart from George Smith, he was the only, he's the exception to the rule. All the other ones, Senator Pocock, all the best ones, all were meticulous with their sleep and their diet. And then I think that's what set them. Then those guys were more consistent at training because their energy levels were more consistent because they were sleeping more consistently, eating consistently. So basically, I don't focus on work at all or doing anything. I just focus on trying to sleep well and eat well, and then I just know everything else will take care of the rest.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar in a few ways to you, Benny. I've got this board here, which I spoke about the other day. Let me see if I can. So it's a bit much for some people. Oh, hang on. How can I do this? But basically, that's every day of the week, and I could use my watch. There we go. I could use my watch to do it, but there's something about physically taking it's similar to writing, I suppose. Physically taking the information and then putting it up there. Especially if I've done something bad, it makes me accept it, and it sort of makes me accept that I've done something not good, but that aligns with what I'm trying to achieve. So basically, I've got essentially it's old, but did I eat? Was I in my goal range or whatever for my calories? Did I exercise and what was it? And then like how long for, or the pace or whatever. There's a section there. This was for when I was running heaps. And I was with my nutritionist, and he wanted to know how much weight I was losing in a run so I could put it back in. But essentially sort of roughly what I'm weighing. I don't weigh myself every day. I think that's a bit silly, but I do sometimes weigh myself after a long run. So I weigh myself twice a day just to sort of know what I need to put back in. Did I get up early? Early is 5 a.m. And how many hours of sleep I got? Usually, if it's 5, I'm going to start. If it's less than 6, I'll write it in red. If it's more than 6, I'll write it in green. And essentially, so I'll tick in green if I did it, and I'll put a cross in red. And I know that if the majority of it's green, then I'm doing everything. Everything should be going pretty well. If and if the majority of it's red, I just won't fill it out. No, I just know, and I shouldn't have to do that, but it works for me, and that's what that's about. That's about just focusing on the small, consistent things I need to be getting right to feel better. You know what I mean? It's almost like a checklist when you're building something. You know what I mean? When you build a house, you don't when it's time to lay the bricks, you're not thinking about the fucking front garden. You know what I mean? Making it pretty. You're focused on that part of it. And I guess that's with running now. I'm sort of trying to wind up into running a little bit more. This time I'm really determined. Last time when I sort of got right in running, I ran a lot of garbage Ks and I was obsessed with times. And I would run one day and a couple of days later I'd run again and I'd be heaps slower and find it heaps harder. And I'd be like, what the fuck? What's wrong with me? You know what I mean? And for me, it just took me a lot of time to realize and a lot of sort of time spent doing whatever it was to realize that you can trust the process. You know what I mean? Because I'd get real pissed off because I did have a run where I felt shit and was slow and had no energy. A couple of days later, I'd have a real good run. You know what I mean? And that's when I sort of realized that it's just, you just got to trust it. So this time around, I'm with running, I've got the big goal is to run a PB in Canberra in April, right? But I'm really determined to only run to heart rate and time in all my training. So instead of doing a 28K run on a Sunday in fucking February, I'll run for 2.5 hours at a heart rate of 150 or less. You know what I mean? So really switch the focus from the pace metrics to I just know if I work on my heart rate, I do a strides train, do strides one day a week or a hill or some sprints or something like that, and then do most of my time on legs, Ks in zone 2 and whatever, then I should get those things all together should equal the goal I've set. You know what I mean? Because there's so many variables, people, oh fuck, why was I slow? But they don't think about what you ate 2 days ago can affect it, how you slept 3 days ago can affect it. And people just don't think that much about it, I suppose. And like you said, Benny, people say it's a bit boring, but we've talked about it before, I think that if you tick these boxes every single day, it actually, and it's routine and stuff, it actually frees your mind up a bit to do spontaneous shit. You know what I mean? And if you've got everything taken care of already, I don't know, I like it. I think it makes a lot of sense. You just got to trust that you're doing enough. And if you don't quite sort of hit your goal or whatever, then it's not as though you did it all for nothing, because you've obviously, even if you don't hit that one metric goal that you set for yourself, you'll still be able to look back through it and see improvement anyway. And I think that's important too, to be are you better than you were? You didn't get what you wanted. You didn't get the ultimate goal, but how can you be mad when you're in a better position than you were? It obviously works.
Yeah, I agree. I think, as you said, I think sometimes we're not always so good at setting goals. So often we'll set ourselves a goal and then we'll create a very rigid pathway in order to achieve that goal that we've now decided is really important. So 2 things I think can happen is, 1, we take shortcuts in order to ensure that we hit that goal that we've set, or we become so rigid that we can't have the flexibility to see what might be happening sort of around us and being able to shift or pivot. So the example that I had was, I think in the second year of running Rare, I set myself like a distance goal to run. But the problem with that is that then all I did during the week was run. I wasn't doing, because I only had a certain amount of energy. And so all of my energy just went into running rather than going, oh, maybe I could go play a game of touch with somebody or go to the gym or do other exercises going to cycling, because it was like, I've got a goal and I've got to meet it and I've only got a certain amount of energy. So I'm just going to exclusively do this behavior in order to achieve that goal. Whereas I think if we begin to focus on the process, which was that goal was to try and build up my fitness, try and build up some strength and endurance. And that was just the thing that I was sort of using to try and build momentum and get behind it, rather than going and stepping back and going, well, I should do these activities, even though it might jeopardize that distance goal. All these other things actually align with what the vision of, or the purpose of that was in the first place. And so I think sometimes we set poor goals, and as a result, our processes suffer for it because we then lack the flexibility to adjust, because we get fixated on, got to meet this goal. Whereas I think, as you guys have said, if we pull it back to the fundamentals, that's where the growth actually happens, because it gives us flexibility. It allows us to reevaluate whether we're heading in the right direction or not, rather than going, oh, well, I'm halfway through this challenge, I just need to finish it, rather than it's that loss aversion that can come into play. Whereas if we step a little bit back, I think we're actually going to get a whole lot further ahead. But yeah, I don't know whether you guys have had similar experiences or not, where you've set yourself a goal and then it's actually been more crippling and more rigid than you would have liked.
Yeah, I man, like back end of last year, I wanted to average 100 Ks a week so I could get to 3,650 Ks for the year, so that I could say I averaged 10K a day. And I just about did it. I averaged 100 Ks right up a week, right up until Christmas. And then I just got drunk because it was Christmas. And I fell a tiny bit short, but same thing, man. That's why this time I'm so determined. I don't want to do, in my whole prep for this Canberra Marathon, I don't want to do a week over 50 Ks, because like you don't need to. It's unnecessary, and like it just takes up too much time, and you end up sacrificing things that actually matter. And it's an ADD thing as well, ADHD. Sorry, you get like fixated on stuff, and it's a really, really handy tool in the right hands. You know what I mean? It can really help, but it's super double-edged, because you're not doing dumb shit. Like, why? Like, why? I'm spending less time with people I care about. I'm more tired. I'm sore. I'm grumpy. Probably affecting my ability at work. For what? For a number on Strava no one gives a shit about. Like, and it's gone. Like, and like I did some cool shit. Like I think I did seven halves, 7 Arthurs in 7 days and whatever. Like I ran a 50K on a Monday afternoon because it was cold. Like, cool. But like I've done that shit, but like it's none of that shit is anything, like when I'll be on my deathbed and be like, God, I'm glad I did that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's interesting. I was listening to podcast that Cam shared the other day, and that guy with Rich Roll, can't remember his name, but he says like, and it's a pretty common thing. Like, people on their deathbed talk about one thing, and it's the relationships they've had with people. It's literally like the most common and almost and exclusively said thing is like, you know, like tell these people that I love them, tell, you know, that I appreciate them, I'm grateful, you know, for their existence and whatever. Like, so, and I mean, that's a bit deep and whatever. It's cool to have goals and tick bucket list shit, whatever. But I think it's probably like that obsession point you got to be wary of, you know, and mindful of. You know, towards the end of last year, I didn't realize, but I mean, like by this Easter, I think I was on my way to sort of that event already, and I was just like in a fucking headspace where I was searching for something, you know, to help me, and it just I'll just run a stupid amount of Ks every week for fucking absolutely no reason, and I could have learned the lesson a bit easier, but I had to do it that way to learn it. You know that it truly is, man. You just got to. You can only do so much. The same sort of thing applies at work. Like you just if you're not getting the result and you're doing all the right things, and you just got to like say to your boss, like or whatever, like, look, here's the proof that I'm following your process. I'm doing this and that. It's just not happening. There's not much more you can do, right? Like, I don't know.
I'm a big believer in the saying, people are naturally overestimate what they can achieve in the short term, but underestimate what they can achieve in the long run.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
just naturally not very good at understanding what we're capable of. We just, for whatever reason, we set a really big goal in the short term, and because it gets us excited and motivated to get going, and as soon as the moment we realise we're not going to achieve it, we just temporarily, quickly, then get back on the horse at some point. But Ivy had a question to ask. What were you going to ask, Ivy?
I'm good at maths.
Why don't okay, Timmy's good. Timmy's dad's good at maths, isn't it, Timmy?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what, Matt, Timmy, you got a maths question for Ivy?
Oh. All right. What have you been studying at school, Ivy? In math?
Numbers.
Numbers. Could you tell me what a prime number is? Have you learned about prime? No?
You can do pluses.
Pluses. Oh, I got a good one for you, Ivy. Could you add up 23 plus 8 for me?
31.
What? Yeah, good work. 31.
Out of that one.
All right, I got another one.
Let's keep the numbers a little bit lower, Timmy. Just
A little bit lower. All right. What about 9 plus 5? That's a tricky one, isn't it? What about 6 plus 3?
Eight.
Oh, almost. Almost. Very, very close, Ivy. You got to try again. 6 plus 3.
9.
Yeah, nice work. You are good at mathematics. You told me and you proved it.
Ivy, and then why do we like getting good sleep? Why do we get good sleep?
So we learned it.
Yeah.
our brains learn. What else? What else do we do in the morning?
Eat healthy stuff.
Why?
So we get big and strong.
And
Yeah. And get big brains, hey? So we're going to do cool number problems.
I might have to go, lads.
Yeah, all good. Thanks for showing
Family-friendly episode of Talking for Resilience from the bottom of the R4R funnel.
I gotta go get a taco.
Until next time, we got Sammy Wilson and Timmy Fulton. Lads, have a great weekend, and I'm sure we'll chat in WhatsApp over the weekend.
That's good.
Right.
Peace. Till next time.
See ya.